Today on the Servant Leadership Podcast, we're joined by Stephen Trulaske, CEO of True Manufacturing. If you've ever ordered food at a stadium, picked up a drink at a gas station, or been in a commercial kitchen, you've probably interacted with True Manufacturing without even realizing it. Over the last 80 years, they've quietly become one of the largest refrigeration companies in the world. True is a third-generation, family-owned business that has grown from bending metal in a garage to becoming a global brand, serving customers in over 100 countries while keeping their roots in American manufacturing. In this conversation, Steve shares the story of how True got started, how they've expanded globally without losing their culture, and what it takes to build a company that lasts for generations.
Well, Steve, thank you for joining us on the Servant Leadership Podcast.
Okay.
I'm so excited to have you. True is an amazing company. It's been around a long time. Share with our audience what you do here.
So we manufacture commercial refrigeration that goes into commercial kitchens, in a hotel, in a restaurant, school applications, you name it, doing a lot of serving of a lot of meals for whatever application it is. You know, we offer virtually everything. And most recently, we just have launched ice machines, commercial ice machines. And that tells a little bit of a story about how True thinks about itself and how it goes to market. So the idea for this commercial ice machine started about 12 years ago, and it just came out last year. So it took us 10 years to develop this thing, which most people in my shoes who took that long to develop a product would be fired, right? No shareholder would put up with that long of a period of development. But in the refrigeration world, from our standpoint, this was like going to the moon. We had to have something very different. There's a million ice machines out there all over the place. They're great companies, powerful. So there's no thinking here that we got to come up with Me Too product. And we really have created quite a rocket ship here as far as technology, connection to the internet, serviceability. So I'm giving you a real quick snapshot, is just insight as to how True thinks about things, but this ability to take this long-term approach. And then we've added great people we pulled in to make this thing possible. And you create this environment that we have here that's very constructive for the engineering world to want to do it. And they don't have a gun to their head, and they don't have private equity going, you know, we need this thing right now. So we don't make big mistakes. So we have not made a big mistake, and the thing is going out there, and it's kind of really excited about it.
What people might not realize is True is probably one of the biggest companies that the average consumer hasn't yet heard of. When I first heard of True, I thought, maybe I've seen them, maybe I haven't, I don't remember. But then once I knew about True, everywhere I went, every stadium, airport, restaurant, gas station, True's everywhere. You kind of own the market. And really, this company started, 80 some years ago?
Yes, exactly, 80 years ago.
How did this happen?
So grandfather was a tool and die maker, worked for a number of Emerson. This is a big, huge corporation here in St. Louis. Does all types of commercial products for HVAC and refrigeration. And so he had that background. And so he had this idea to take residential refrigeration technology and put it into commercial application. And that would be something new back in the 40s. And so he got, the problem was he had no college education and he had no money. But then my father shows up, first college graduate, World War II, saved up all of his money, equivalent of $100,000 from his time in World War II.
Wow.
In today's money, and lent my grandfather $10,000, and they started bending metal in their garage in 1945 here in St. Louis, and they first developed freezers. Freezer was a very new product back then, and it went well until it didn't go well initially, but then President Truman declared meat rationing. And all of a sudden, they could sell all the freezers they could build. So that was kind of the genesis of the company.
In most companies, I mean, you talk about having the luxury of time in some respects of not having PE breathe down your neck and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Most companies who have been this successful either go public or sell to private equity. And I know it's been super important to you and the family to keep it as a family business. Why did you go this route or stay this route?
Yeah, I really feel that it is a great legacy of my father, who just, hey, what else are we going to do? You're going to sell this thing and you're going to collect all this money. Then what will you do with yourself? And we just have so much fun. It's just kind of a fun word to use, but, to run a business. And, we simply believe that this is a better business model. What are our alternatives? Sell this to the Chinese, sell it to private equity, see this thing get turned all around. I mean, there's people who are really happy here in this building. And everything I've seen, I've been on private equity boards. I've seen how it goes. I mean, we create a really great environment for people to work in. It's really a gift, not just to ourselves, but really to many people who really appreciate a family atmosphere. And we believe in that there's value to the American system, that fewer people should sell their companies. And that's really kind of what my father always believed in.
Did you always know you wanted to get in the business?
No, did not want to be here at all. Fought very hard not to be here.
So what did that look like to then get you here?
So I had a big thing into sports. I did one of the first sports administration programs in the late 70s at Ohio State. Went to work for the professional football team of the St. Louis Football Cardinals. Did that for a year, and that cured me of my interest. It was a lot of fun. It was a blast. I mean, I got to, catch punts and run patterns and all this stuff. I was basically a jock washer. I got to do sidebar things and travel with the team, but I didn't see a future for myself. So then I went back to business school at Ohio State, fell in love with business, loved the graduate business school program. And then when my father said, you will show up here, and I showed up.
Wow. So then you've been thinking about next generation, at least at a high level, with your kids being involved in the business some too now, right?
Yes.
And what does that look like, those conversations of trying to think through, how do you keep this going for another 80 years after you?
I think this is where, for folks in our shoes, having great advisors that specialize in privately held companies, and we do have a great relationship with a group up in Chicago called BDT. Byron Trott started this company, and he really is a great resource, and his team, as to how you think about that specific question. And really one of the major fundamentals you get into is governance. Governance becomes quite critical. And so that's really what we work on a lot now, is for the future's governance and how to keep it going.
Wow. So it's interesting because you're constantly having to think about the future. I know that True got a lot of praise. I don't forget how many years ago, but a while ago when you came up with the R290 canisters, before that even was something that people were thinking about. And now you're moving into additional segments outside of just coolers and freezers and refrigerators in general. Talk about how you're thinking about the future and what this industry for you looks like.
So after 80 years, you inherently have strengths. What are your strengths, right? And so we have, I would say, because I did study in Europe, that there was a great benefit to me, and that I saw how the Germans work, how the Italians. I traveled a lot in Asia, and I saw how the Asian business cycle is and business community. So I've had a very global perspective. So with that, it really helps me think about the future as to where we need to go. And again, always it's about leverage. So we leverage whatever we do here. We have this international perspective. Will this work around the world on the ice machines? Yes, it will. So that it's not just selling the United States, it's selling the globe. Not because you can go everywhere. There's a lot of limitations sometimes. But so there's always this thinking about taking existing strengths and your team and say, how do we leverage it?
Yeah. When we think about this, I don't know for how long, but it's been a while that you've kind of owned a lot of the market, a large portion of market share in this space. And you've thought about moving into the hot space too recently. How did you even make that jump or even think through that process?
So about 20 years ago, my father and I were at a trade show, and we see that a top brand in the residential world started making completely stainless steel refrigerators. And then we said to ourselves, well, if that's what the residential world wants, well, we can do that. Well, we didn't realize how difficult that's like going to the moon. Everything's different residentially, but we figured it out eventually. So now we're in the residential business. Residential is going really well. We have this whole, we can do outdoor bars and kitchens and all that. We couldn't do the hot side. So in the world of residential refrigeration, we want to be the complete total source, both hot and cold, for an outdoor kitchen today. And then we had developed through our going to all these trade shows, a relationship with this company in California called Caliber. and we've entered into this agreement to work with them, production, sales, and marketing, and it's about putting a whole thing together. So when you come to us, you're going to get a grill, you're going to get refrigeration, we'll put it all together for you. So that, to me, is very powerful. Again, that leveraging concept.
It's amazing how you've just continued to move the industry forward, not just for consumers, but for really other competitors even. You're just taking the industry to the next level, which is just unbelievable. As you think through things that you've done along the way, not everything has worked, right? You've probably had many things that didn't work as you planned. Talk about how what's an example of something that didn't work, and how do you deal with those kind of issues?
Yeah, so you see segments of a given refrigeration market. So let's look at the display cases, beautiful display cases. The Europeans are very strong in this. There's some great manufacturers here in the U.S., and so we've come off our own display cases. They really have not had great success. There's just certain industries and competitors that you go, hey, we can do this, and you get into it and you go, no, we can't. No, we can't. It's tough. And so you keep chasing it, and eventually we still make them, we still have them, but it's not turned into something like some of our other successes. But that's okay. It's okay. We just keep going.
Yeah, one thing that I love that I heard Simon Sinek talk about was this concept of the infinite game. Have you heard anything about this before?
I haven't.
Okay, it's about how the best companies are built to last forever. They're not worried so much about what happens next year, the year after. They're thinking, how do we make sure we're in business and thriving 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now? And it's just a different company approach. There's probably a lot of shortcuts that you've seen other competitors take that might have won them market share in a given year against True, and that's great. But on the flip side, you've been able to outlast basically everyone in the industry and really lead. When you think through that, how do you instill that mindset in the team members? Because you've got a massive team, and at the same time, it's been important for you to keep most or a lot of what you do here in the States. How do you instill that long-term mindset?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I just think when you see examples of, for example, us looking at, we made the decision about 5-6 years ago, we have to have a facility for production outside the U.S. And so we looked all over the globe for that. And we took literally 3 or 4 years to finally make a decision to go to Monterrey, Mexico, after considering a lot of different places around the world. That just shows you, again, this long-term thinking. And this is a huge decision that we had to make, we felt, because of all the general things that are going on as far as our international opportunities, the ability to hire people just strictly in the United States. So I think those kinds of business decisions, the long-term thinking on the ice machine development, these all show kind of our approach.
Something that I hear from a lot of people who have worked with you over the years is that they love your leadership style. People talk about how you're not just running this big company and checked out doing things outside the business. You know the business in and out, so you know the details, and you really care about the business and the people. How do you encourage other business owners or people entering business where their goal, at least initially, is to make a lot of money and check out? And think about, you hear all the time about passive income and all these things. How do you care deeply for people and stay just so in the weeds in a good way?
Well, I just think in life, in general, having a mission is really, really critical. And I don't deny that there's a lot of business situations for people who get in their careers, whether it's privately held businesses, their family business, and they want to get out of it, and they have a new mission. But it's the situation where you sell the business or you get out of your career and you really don't have a plan. And so that mission thing is really what I care about, whether you're with us forever, how long. We have a lot of people that stay with us in a part-time basis, and they really love to have something to do. And I think that's really, really critical for the latter part of your life, to have that.
We talk a lot about this concept of servant leadership, which sometimes resonates really well with people we're talking to, and sometimes it's the first time they're even hearing those two words together. When I say servant leadership, how would you define that, leading an organization like True?
Largely I think about creating great jobs, fulfilling jobs, opportunity for growth. Not everybody wants growth. There's a lot of great, folks in the building here who want that steady position, and they fill tremendous roles. Do they want to rise to the top? No, and that's fine. They're very happy with the various jobs. All right, so it's always that fit thing. Then we have the others who they really want to go someplace. But that ability to offer growth, I think a company has got to be growing. It's got to be offering new challenges. You're not going to attract the best people that you want if they don't see this path, to go someplace special.
How do you go about building a good team? You talked earlier about even with the cooler direction, you had to bring on great people and you had to have great people on it. How do you think about bringing on new team members?
Well, throughout my career, I was out there a lot. I pounded around the world a lot. I developed a lot of relationships all over the world. And so, we have an engineer who I met over in Europe back in the 80s, a gentleman who runs our whole retail division, who worked at the Coca-Cola company. So I found a lot, I would say, hey, what'd you think about it? Because you can tell. You can tell these are very talented individuals. And today, I would say it's a little bit easier in some respects because we have developed such a reputation in the industry. So people, they raise their hands and say, we really would like to come and work for you. So whether it's engineering, sales, wherever it is, we just attract today. 30 or 40 years ago when I was running around, it wasn't like that.
It really is exciting to think through. Now True has become a household name and really the leader in the industry. When you think about companies that have led industries for a long time, 20, 30 years ago that don't exist now, you've had to take a slightly different approach and really just continue to think about the long game. Do you ever get nervous thinking about the future generations that are going to be coming into True and leading it? How do you think that they're set up for success?
Well, that's a critical question, right? And we've seen a million examples where that don't work out so well. And, obviously, the third generation is the classic one that doesn't usually continue on. So, but I look at a company like Miele, which is a German appliance manufacturer. They are in their seventh generation. Wow. Seventh. I think they're a great inspiration. And that, again, goes back to this whole thing of governance. So does the seventh generation, run the thing full blast themselves? No. Are there boards? Yes. Do you have this opportunity for engagement as a Miele descendant of the seventh? Yes. But that whole piece of governance really comes in to ensure that either you really want to be involved and you're going to make the sacrifices to be very involved, or you want to be a shareholder. And if you want to be a shareholder, there's also things are required that you need to be a good shareholder, not a jerk or whatever. That's probably too strong a word, but just with a healthy perspective as to what your situation is.
So surrounding yourself with good advisors and good leadership. It's funny because when I met you, it was because you were on the board of a large company that everyone listening would know, which I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say or not, but you were on the board of this company that everyone would know. And we met, and they used you as a great advisor for very crucial periods of their history. When you think through advisors you want around you and board members, things like that, what are you looking for and what should people think about as they're trying to figure out advisors for their own businesses?
First of all, that variety of backgrounds and experiences, and whether you have to have some really, really strong financial people and some very strong sales and marketing people, and then there's the leadership piece. All that needs to come onto a board. And I think too, with those positions and boards, there's periods of time where they should serve and then they should move on. You can't stay on there forever. So that's a part of the equation. But, what I've seen with being on boards is that person who knows when to talk. They know when they have something relevant to say rather than just talking a lot. And that filter, it really is quite important to bring real value to a board.
So obviously you've been around and met a lot of people through your dealings with True and other companies. So it's probably easy for you if somebody said, I need a finance person or marketing person or whatever it is, you probably have a bunch of people that come to mind. If you were starting everything over and you were looking for great advisors and you didn't have all the relational equity that you have, how would you approach finding great mentors and advisors?
That's a tough question. There is this organization called Young Executives, and these are folks that have started their own companies, people like you did, and they're 25, they're 30, and they all get in the room, they join this organization, and then there's mentors out there that come in to help 30-year-olds figure out their life or their business life and all that. Mm-hmm. So I think there are existing organizations like YEO that you guys say, hey, this is an organization that could help me. Mm. And that's the best answer I can first come up with for you on that.
That's a good one. I think people don't realize all the different peer group opportunities there are with YEO, even YPO, Vistage, C12 Convene.
Exactly,
There's all these great groups where you can surround yourself with amazing talent.
And you need that.
Yeah.
I mean, you really do need that. You don't know a lot of people. I think the interesting thing about your generation is this fourth industrial revolution. We're going through the whole digital world, and you guys have this incredible once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to really run and develop huge businesses very quickly at 28.
Yeah. So how do you, just on the personal side, so we've talked a lot about development, how do you think about staying healthy personally, staying plugged into your relationships, staying plugged into just enjoying life outside of the business? Because really the business, it has your name on the building in some respects, right? So it's how do you enjoy personal life outside of work?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it was good to see my father's approach to it. When he walked out the door, he walked out the door. Mm. And I think that's one of the bigger challenges. That's probably easier to do in the past because this phone doesn't follow you around everywhere. Back in those days, it did not. So, you really could walk out the door. But, man, you got to do that. You got to put that phone down. Otherwise, you'll just go nuts. And so for me, it's pretty easy because I love sports. I love physical engagement. So I run, I lift, I swim, I play tennis, I play golf, I water ski, snow ski. And so I just have all of that. And then I love Europe. I love the international world. I'm fascinated by all of that. So right now I'm studying World War I. To me, World War I is tremendously fascinating as a guide as to what's happening today. Study Theodore Roosevelt. That guy was incredible, unbelievable president, all his stories. So that part is not the hard part for me anyway.
I love that.
Yeah.
So I want to finish with 10 rapid fire questions where I ask questions and you just say the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay. This
is where it gets hard.
You're making me nervous.
Yeah, this is where it gets difficult.
I get to edit this thing, right?
Whatever you say goes. Who's the first person you think of when I say servant leadership?
Billy Graham.
All right. 5 words that most describe you.
Enthusiastic, global, love life, sports, family.
Love it. Favorite book or movie?
I would say River of Doubt is the book.
Okay. That's great.
Yeah.
Favorite food?
Oh, my goodness. Well, growing up used to be, no, let me think about that. I would say, I love everything. So, I don't know. I'll go with pork knuckles.
All right. I wasn't expecting that. I like that. Favorite thing to do in your free time?
I would say play tennis these days, yeah.
All right. What's a surprising fact about you?
Can you ask my wife on that?
It's
hard.
Yeah. Well, we can come back to that one maybe.
Okay.
Where's favorite place you've been?
So I would say Milan, Italy. And it's because there's such a renaissance of business life, from fashion to cars to everything, design. I love their creativity and innovation. And that is the kind of the business capital of Italy, and you see it all there.
And as a side note to the rapid fire questions, it's crazy to see Tru's growth internationally in the last decade, especially. I mean, it's been unbelievable. Do you track that pretty closely, I take it?
Yes. But that was really critical for us to do because remember, there's been this huge international effort by our competitors over the last 20 years. That's on a huge level. So we had to really change ourselves as a company. I mean, our business is night and day from 20 years ago.
Yeah. All right. Where's somewhere you want to go that you have not been?
Japan.
Oh, that's awesome. What's the best advice you've ever received?
Well, my father would say, don't screw it up.
No pressure. That's good. No pressure. Well, Steve, thank you so much for being on the Servant Leadership Podcast. I'm so thankful that you were willing to do this.
Thank you, Chris.
And I'm just so excited for where True's heading in the future.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Servant Leadership Podcast. If you enjoyed what you heard, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to never miss an update. Be sure to check out the servantleadershippodcast.org for more updates and additional bonus content.